The Council of Dreams is either the 3rd or 4th boss of Amirdrassil. Prep, you want to use Lust on Pull, and for Heroic you need to break the raid into 2 groups. This fight has 3 bosses, each with 2 normal and 1 key ability. You need to kill all of the bosses at the same time or else they will resurrect. It's difficult to kill all bosses evenly as Airwind, the bear, is the only boss which can be moved around. This means tanks, you want to make sure that you're tanking the bear on top of at least one of the other bosses at all times. And for DPS, you should try and make sure you are only cleaving the bear and you're main targeting another boss, as typically the other 2 bosses will be the highest HP. Firstly then, let's cover Airwind, the bear. The bear has a tank buster called Agonizing Claws. This is a frontal and the tanks need to swap after each cast of the frontal. You also need to make sure the boss is always facing away from the raid as it will kill players. Barreling Charge is the boss's second ability, and this is a charge which needs to be soaked or else it will cause massive AoE damage. On Heroic you become vulnerable whenever you soak this charge, so break the raid into 2 groups and rotate for each cast. Onto our next boss then. Airwind casts Noxious Bloom, causing blossoms to spawn which deal ticking damage to the entire raid until they are destroyed. Next onto Pip, she polymorphs players which then have to run around and soak 3 of the Noxious Blooms which Airwind casts. After soaking 3, you will then unlock the Preen ability to remove the polymorph effect from yourself. On Heroic, when you remove the polymorph effect, this will also hit other players in 7 yards, so absolutely do not stack up with others and use this on others as you will be needlessly chaining the polymorph. People also cast Emerald Winds, which pulses a large amount of AoE damage and pushes players back. Now moving on to our 3 key abilities, one for each boss. Airwind uses Blind Rage. This does stacking AoE damage which can ramp out of control if you don't stop the cast. You stop the cast by using Polymorph on it. A duck will need to run over to the boss and use Preen here to turn the boss into a duck and stop the cast. Airwind's signature ability is Constructing Thicket. This does stacking AoE damage again, which if not interrupted will cause the boss to launch javelins at all raid members, leaving a very nasty bleed and likely wiping the group. You need to interrupt the boss with Barreling Charge here, so tanks make sure that you're aiming the bear towards Airwind on this cast. And finally we have Pip's key ability, Song of the Dragon. This applies an absorb shield to all players in the raid. At the end of the cast, if you still have the shield, you will be stunned and take massive damage for 15 seconds. You need to remove the shield by standing in Airwind's Noxious Clouds for a few seconds, taking damage and getting rid of the shield. That's it for this boss guide though. Make sure that you are dealing with the charge mechanic and also the key abilities of all 3 bosses and you'll be absolutely fine. As always, I want to give a huge shout out to my few patrons. You guys really do mean a lot to me. Thank you so much. If you'd also like to potentially support me beyond a thumbs up and a subscribe, you can head on over to Patreon to check out what I offer in return. These guides are released early, for example, so that may be of interest to you. Having said that, hopefully you've enjoyed this one. If you have done, we'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.